on, Chucky. Wanna play?
Hey, true believers. Today on the YouTube channel, Chucky Gets Lucky. We are going over the NECA Bride of Chucky Ultimate action figure. And sadly, this is the single release. I believe there's a 2-pack that comes with Tiffany, which would have loved to have found. But this is what I got. This is what we're doing. Love that they, as like with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they keep the poster. Looks very awesome. And of course, Chucky Gets Lucky. Nothing very much on the top except for the logo. And again, on the bottom, director, sculptor, fabrication, prototype, set design, photography, and packaging. More action figure companies need to do that so that more people get props for what it was responsible for. Everything that goes into packaging something that folks, especially fans like us, want to get. Crack this open, and we see the little nightmare from hell right there in the packaging. Terrifying action figure photography there. Absolutely love it. On the side, you get another cool shot of Chucky, which I like when they do that. Looks great. On the back, there's a read-up. I'll make sure to get a close-up so you can check it out at your convenience. Plus, if you're wanting to pose him or do photography, NECA does a great job of giving you some different ideas that you can pose this little nightmare fuel figure. Same piece here on the side. Come back around. Now, is this figure in and of itself cool or not? Let's get Mr. Good Guy out and get a closer look at him. And here's Chucky out of the packaging. And just like the nightmares from my childhood, he looks absolutely terrifying. When I was a kid, probably no more than 6 or 7, I watched it on my parents watching Child's Play, and whew, that had an impact on me. And it's still kind of hard to watch some of the older Chucker movies for that reason. But nonetheless, it's a great franchise. This figure looks great from the Bride of Chucky. It encompasses, how about that one instead? Just shows everything that was fun about the movie and horrific all at the same time. So let's get this little nightmare fuel tiny terror off the spinner and get a closer look at him. The Bride of Chucky came out in 1998. It was an American black comedy slasher film written by Don Mancini and directed by Ronnie Yu. This is the 4th film in the Child's Play franchise. It starred Jennifer Tilly, Brad Dourif, John Ritter, Katherine Heigl, and John Stabile. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. This movie, it took a meta-humor turn, departing from the Annie Barclay storyline from the first 3 films, which I'm thankful for, and it focused on Chucky, which, he's the good guy doll that was possessed by a serial killer, and then his former lover and accomplice, Tiffany, whose soul is also transferred into a doll after Chucky unalived her. The inspiration to create Tiffany came from David Kirshner after he saw a copy of The Bride of Frankenstein in a video store. Yes, I know, a video store. Relishing the idea of 2 dolls running around the country killing together in their wake was sort of like a natural-born killer / Bonnie and Clyde idea. And it really worked. It was a fun film. Out of all of them, that's the one that I really enjoyed going back to just because it was different for the time. And I remember seeing it 98, I was in 9th grade? 8th, 9th grade, drunk as a skunk, came over to a friend's party. Looked on the screen and went, what the hell is this? Because I didn't know that it came out in theaters. And I go, this is Chucky. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm sitting there laughing. Long story, moving on. Now, for the accessories that this guy comes with, all the head sculpts are really awesome. I appreciate that in this movie, they kind of left Chucky looking really rough because Tiffany basically connives a cop to pull the doll from storage. And what was cool, and I kind of wish that would have happened, is they showed Freddy's claws. I think they showed Jason's mask or Michael's, one of the two. And you're just like, oh, that'd be a really cool crossover. But, of course, nothing happened. But still, just the roughness of these figures, like just basically stapled back together. So at the beginning of the film, you're hearing Living Dead Girl by Rob Zombie, and you just see Tiffany going around stapling Chucky's doll face back together because she wants to bring her lover back to life. And all 3 faces kind of have all the past movie looks about him, the more good guy looking one, and then as he became more and more crazy, all the blood and the staples, the bulging eyes, just great creepiness. The one thing about this figure, though, that drives me nuts is swapping out the heads is a pain in the ass. So look at this. Look at how huge that ball joint is. My goodness. When we went over the Leatherface, he had a small dumbbell, which was a lot easier to swap out the heads, but God, trying to get these on, it feels like a marathon sometimes. Oh, you may have to warm them up. That's what I had to do because, oh, yeah, so let's go over the accessories. He does come with two? Or am I just on crack? No, two kind of waving hands, one regular plastic and then one with a slash, which is really cool. Which, if you guys do remember the film, when Chucky and Tiffany, consummate their marriage, and she's like, do you have a rubber? Tiff, I'm made out of plastic or rubber or whatever. She's like, oh yeah, which leads to a very disturbing ending of the film. He also has a few groping, well, I guess groping works too, grabbing hands, more of a kind of a regular open hand, then a more fisted one for the knife. I like the knife cuts on there, those little blood indentions, and it actually has an indention in the skin. Looks good. And then he also has a normal, just plastic doll hand. The outfit. Now, Chucky, for me, the reason he terrifies me the most is I believe I was probably, 6, 7, maybe 8. We were at a friend's house, my parents' friend's house, and I was playing in the room with their daughter, the friend's daughter, and I came in to ask my mom something, and I just see this doll slash into somebody's face, and I didn't know what to think of that. And my parents tried to explain to me that it was a movie, but I was young, impressionable, and I had a friend who had a little brother, and he used to wear overalls like this, and he had bright red hair. And my mom would always say, why don't you ever want to stay at their house? And I'd say, because his brother looks like Chucky. And so that was a thing that I had to get over as a child. So there's one of my traumatic events for you guys to relish in and roast me down in the comments. Now, the overalls look great. I love all the ripness of it, and of course the creepiness of having the good guy stuff, like the little cowboy hats, because Mr. Good Guy doll was supposed to be something like My Buddy, essentially, from reality. And I couldn't get around My Buddy dolls either. The striped shirt, of course, memorable. But this one, of course, just brings that extra creepiness to it because of all the tears and the rips and the jeans. And you can tell that those just look like old school Oshkosh, Bakosh, or however you pronounce it. Yeah, the shoes look great. Terrifying as I hold this doll and dredging up dark memories from my past. Now, that's the paint-apps. The rest of the accessories, let's put the doll down for a minute. Love the axe. Very kind of cartoonish, but still that silver looks great. Handle fits in his hand relatively well. So you go, hi, my name's Chucky. Wanna play? So yeah, great stuff there. The knife, of course. And then, of course, as I'm just throwing shit around, let me try to juggle. I love how when Tiffany, I don't remember the main characters' names, but when they decide to get married while they're on the run, and these two are sitting in the parking lot in the van, he pulls out the knife, and she's like, were you born with that in your hand? What year is this? Is this the 90s or something like that? And she's trying to tell him about being creative, and the way they take out John Ritter was intense. R.I.P. to that man, by the way. The knife looks great. Looks like your old school kitchen knife with the serrated edge there. Good stuff. Love the sheen on it. And then, of course, has to have a gun because, it's Chucky. And the butt is a little big, but I think he's supposed to hold it cartoonishly because this is still, he's in a doll's body, so it's supposed to look kind of cartoonish, but I wish that they would have made that fit a little bit better, so he at least could have put his finger around the trigger. But still, always welcome. Love that the mag ejector has that little bit of silver on there. I wish this was more gunmetal, but still, it's supposed to be a police issue, I think, because I think it's supposed to be John Ritter's. I can't remember off the top of my head. But looks good there. And then, of course, if I get this wrong, feel free to make fun of me, but I think it's called the Heart of Mandala. Or Mandela, not Mandela. No Mandela effects here. Looks good because it's supposed to be the amulet that transfers your soul to something else, and this is what Tiffany and Chucky's primary goal in the movie is to go back to Hackensack, New Jersey to dig up his body because he was buried with this amulet, and they want to take over the bodies of the people that are bringing them to the cemetery, and this was how he was able to transfer Tiff's soul into the crazy doll that looks almost like Jennifer Tilly, which was awesome. So yeah, it's like that they actually used a chain and not plastic. That's a nice little thing. I kind of wish that this ruby was more transparent or, looked like an actual diamond, but still the fact that it looks like that, and it's not going to fit over his big-ass bulbous head, I don't think. So let's try real quick. I don't think so. And of course, when you try to do this on camera, it makes you look like a jackass. Nope. So what I would advise, if you want to put this around his neck, is to pop off the head, place it there, and then slam the head down, and then it'll hang on his chest if that's something you want to do. Ignore my phone. For whatever reason, like when I'm just sitting there watching TV or something, it's dead. And then whenever I decide to record or like either an action figure review or a comic review, it makes noise. And there's a reason that I cannot turn off my phone, which I don't want to get into here. But yeah, it just seems like whenever I need 5-10 minutes of silence, it never works. But yeah, the accessories look great. Now, even though this is a little dude, I think he's somewhere between, probably it has to at least be 4 inches. At least that's what I'm assuming. I don't bring out the tape measure because, reasons. The articulation for a compact figure is still relatively well. I mean, that giant-ass dumbbell that we saw, he can't really do a lot with the head. You can tilt him back about that much, and you can look down about that much, twist this way, twist that way, and you get a little bit of play. Not like with a lot of other figures. Why does that remind me of, what's that movie with Will Ferrell? Night at the Roxbury, where they're Anyway, moving on. Arm spins that way, goes that way, up that way, and then in good old NECA fashion, single jointed elbows. Hand spins that way, down, up, and because of the suspenders, the overalls, you can tell I've not had enough coffee today. He doesn't really twist. There's no real torso twist, so that's kind of frustrating. I wish that you could move it to make it like if you want to do like a running pose, it would look more realistic, but I guess it also makes a little more sense since he's a doll that he doesn't have that much articulation, so kind of meta in that sense. Foot can go all the way out. Plastic butt flap so you can put the leg back. Hey, Hasbro, pay attention. And even though it's single jointed, at least you can get it a full 90 degrees. That way, legs can go out that far. The foot can kind of go forward and kind of up. You don't get a whole lot of range. And there's an ankle rocker, so you can at least get that motion there. And of course, side to side motion and pegs at the bottom. So even though this is a smaller figure, and the single jointness, whatever, at least you get a good plethora of accessories, and it just looks like a cool figure, even though sitting here doing this is giving me the chills at an old age. Now for comparison, I work in a tight quarters, so I don't really have a whole lot of space to stretch out, so I had to back up, so I apologize for you guys seeing half the studio, but I wanted to use just a random huge comparison next to these two. This is the Titan Hero Series Sentinel, and I believe he stands somewhere around 12 inches. We just recently went over the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Ultimate Leatherface from NECA. He's about 7. And then, of course, here's our little Nightmare Fuel standing next to them, standing somewhere between 3.5 to 4 inches tall. And my goodness, what a contrast here. I love this figure. I cannot wait to go over it. But I just wanted to show how small Chucky is in scale to a 7-inch and a 12-inch figure. And we'll even kind of throw back in the DC Multiverse, 6-inch Doomsday Superman that we went over with the Leatherface, and he's around 6. So we got 6, 4, 7, and 12. So you can see he's a tiny little dude, but because he is supposed to be a doll in the movie, they had to make him small. So I appreciate that they paid attention to scaling instead of just making him tall like a lot of these older figures where they just make everybody the same body, the same body mold to a degree, like the old, Playmate, Star Trek, etc., so forth. So I'm glad that as action figures move forward, people are paying more attention to that, especially with this big bad boy, because there was no way in hell I was going to try to pay for that Habs Lab Sentinel. The wife would have killed me. So when I saw this one, I was like, definitely. What do you guys plan on doing with your action figures? Are you going to pose them? Photograph them? Do you have any of these? What are your thoughts on them? Let us know over on our social media pages. NECA articulation aside, this is a really excellent piece. My biggest gripe with it thus far is the fact that the head joint, they made that thing so damn big, and trying to snap those heads on, that is not fun. So you have to be really careful and probably warm up the heads before you try to pop them over that big ass ball joint they have on that body of his. That aside, if you were a fan of the Bride of Chucky like I was, you get some great accessories, you get some great head sculpts, and I just love how in that movie he was just really torn to hell because he was just sitting in a police evidence locker and Tiffany kind of stapled him back together. And this just captures the essence of that movie very well. So if you guys enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to get your comic books and action figures, and grab one or the 2-set if you can, so you can get Tiffany right next to them. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Mr. Good Guy bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified, come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing, happy Halloween and spooky reading, true believers. Photo slideshow coming up next.